Very good morning, students. In this video session, we are going to discuss about the concept of indexing and hashing. Before discussing about this indexing and hashing, let us have a small discussion on the organization of records in the disk or the disk storage. Actually, the records are organized in the files. Logically, it seems to be that the records are available in table, but actually the records are organized in files. Okay, now there are two ways of organizing the records in files. One is considering all the records of a particular table consuming equal memory space. It is what referred as fixed size record. So considering all the records as fixed size records. Now for example, just consider the example that is presented in the screen. There is an instructor table with 4 fields: instructor ID, instructor name, the subject handled by the instructor, and the salary. Now you have 4 fields. Now let us consider that each field takes 25 bits, just for example. Now totally each record will be taking 100 bits, right? So each record will be taking 100 bits. Now the point is, in fixed size record, whether the record is using the 100 bits or not, irrespective of that, it will be reserved for each record. Now for example, let us consider that there is a faculty for whom we are not aware of his salary. So we don't have any information for his salary. So even if you are not storing any value for salary, 100 bits will be reserved for the particular record. So that is the limitation of fixed size record. Whether you are using or not, 100 bits will be reserved for each record in case of this instructor table. Okay, so this is a limitation of fixed size record. Okay, now in fixed size record, once if you remove some records, how the removed spaces are utilized for any future records. These removed spaces are being maintained as a list. The logic is very similar to that of the concept of free list in the linked list data structure. So all the free used or all the free spaces, or in our context, all the removed records, all those spaces will be maintained as a list. And whenever we want to insert some record, we can remove a space from this and you can store that record in that space. Okay, so this is how the records are organized in case of fixed size record, right? But as we already discussed, we have some limitation with this fixed size record, right? So memory consumption is more. Memory consumption in the sense, if you are utilizing all the allocated space, then it is well and good. But suppose if you are not using all the allocated spaces, then those spaces will remain unused. Okay, so that is a drawback of fixed size record. As a solution, we are going for variable sized record, considering the records as variable sized one. Okay, so here we will be using a data structure called slotted page structure data structure. Okay, so you can use this slotted page structure data structure with the consideration that every record will take different sized memory. Okay, for a particular record you may have salary, for a particular instructor record you may not have salary. Like that, every record may take different memory consumption. So this data structure supports that case of every record having a different memory consumption, right? Now what is the concept of this slotted page structure? This slotted page structure has mainly 3 parts. The memory space whatever we have, is being splitted into three parts. The first part is block header, second part is free space, and third part is the actual record, the space for having our actual record. Okay, so header, free space, and the actual record. Now what about the header? Now header in turn it will be having three informations in it, or three details in it. The first one is it will be having the information of how many records presently we stored in our disk. So that information will be having. Okay, so you could see here the entries. So it refers to the number of records. So in our case we have 4 records in this example. So you will be having 4. Then you will be having the reference to the last location of the free space. Okay, reference to the last location of the free space. Okay, so this is second detail you will be having, and you will be having array of index records. Okay, array of index records. Okay, if you have 4 actual record, then you will be having 4 index records, and in each index record you will be having the memory space or the memory size consumed by the particular record, and the actual location where you have the actual record. Okay, let me just repeat the point once again, students. Right now we are discussing about the slotted page structure. So in slotted page structure you will be having 3 parts in the disk. The disk is been split into 3 parts. One is block header, free space, and the actual records. Okay, so in block header in turn you will be having 3 parts in it. Okay, so you will be having the number of records, that information you will be having, and also you will be having the location of the last free space. Okay, location of the last free space, right? Then you will be having array of index records, and each index record will be having the memory consumed by the particular record, and you will be having the reference to the particular record, particular actual record, right? Now I think it is clear for you, right? Now let us consider the situation that now I want to insert a new record. So what I have to do? First you have to update the number of records, then you have to store your record in the location that is been pointed by the block header. Okay, so in the block header you have a reference to the last memory location, right? So there you will be storing the new record. Once after storing the new record, you have to add an index record. In the block header you have to add an index record in which you have to record the memory consumed by this record, the new record, and its position. So that you have to do it. And after doing all this task, finally you have to update the last location address, last location or last position of the free space in your block header, right? So these are the things you have to do in our slotted page structure. Hope now you can get the difference between fixed size record and slotted page structure, that is variable size record. So when you go with variable size record, the memory is being utilized effectively. If a record needs more memory, it will be allocated accordingly. If a record needs only less memory, it will be allocated accordingly. So that's the importance of slotted page structure, right? Now let us go to the next topic, that is indexing. So what is the purpose of indexing? Indexing will enable us to retrieve the data or retrieve the records in an efficient manner. The concept of index can be easily understood by referring to our real world examples. Okay, say for example you have advanced or not advanced, just consider that you have the database system concepts textbook written by Abraham Silbersketch. If you take 7th edition, you have around 5,000 pages in it. Now in that textbook, if you want to look for the topic indexing, and if you start searching the pages one by one, what happens? It takes more time for you to find out the page where you have the topic indexing. So normally what we will be doing, we will be just making use of the index page. In index page you will be looking for the topic indexing. So in the index page you will be having an entry for indexing where you will be having the page number. So directly you can go to the page and you can find the topic. The same concept with our indexing in our database. We can create index for our tables. Once if you create index for our table, it is very easy for us to find the records. Okay, so the same concept. Okay, so there are two types of indexes. One is ordered index and other one is hash index. Ordered index in the sense the records whatever we have in index file and the record whatever we have in the actual file. So these records will be in organized manner. Okay, this will be in sorted order. So the such index is what called as ordered index. And next you have an index called hash index. In hash index there is no concept of sorting and all. Okay, so the records will be uniformly distributed in some buckets, and whenever if you want to find a particular record, what you will be doing is you will be applying the hash function to the key value in the record whatever you are looking for. So once if you apply the hash function, it will be giving some bucket number as a result. So in that bucket you can just go to that bucket and you can find the record. Okay, so this indexing is what referred as hash index. So ordered index, hash index. Okay, now let us discuss about ordered index first. Now what you are seeing in the screen is you have a table, that is instructor table, in which you have 4 fields. Already we discussed this a couple of minutes before. So we have a instructor table with 4 fields. The first field is ID, instructor name, the subject handled by him, and his salary. Right? Now for this table we are creating an index file for our table. In the left side you can just see that is what referred as the index file. Clear? Now this index file is created based on the ID. Similarly, you can create index file based on instructor name, based on subject, or any fields. In this example, the index file is been created for the field called ID. Okay, so hope it is clear for you. Now, whenever we want to look for a particular ID, what we have to do is we have to look into this index file, and once if any index record matches with the value whatever you're looking for, then you can go to the appropriate location to find the actual record. Say for example you are looking for the instructor with ID 33456. So search, you just start searching the index file. So here a index record matches with the value whatever you're looking for. So this index record will be having a location which will be pointing to the actual record. So you can easily find the actual record, right? So this is the concept of indexing. Now this indexing, specifically this ordered indexing, there is 2 types of index. One is referred as dense index and other one is referred as sparse index. Dense index in the sense you will be having index record for all the key values. Okay, you will be having index record for all the key values in your table. Now this index file is being created for this ID field, instructor ID field. Now if your index record or if your index file has all the key values in it, this index file has all the key values. So if you have all the key values in the index file, then it is referred as dense index. It is referred as dense index. The next type is sparse index. In sparse index, we will be having the index record only for selected key values. Now if you could see in this example, even though you have many instructor IDs, we are having index record only for 3 IDs, right? So when you have the index record for the selected key values, then it is referred as sparse index. Now you may get a question like, in case of sparse index, how to look for a particular record for which the index record is not available. Say for example, I am looking for the instructor with ID 33456, but in index file you don't have index record with the ID 33456. Now how to look for that instructor? So what you have to do is, you have to search the value in the index file one by one. Okay, so if your value falls between some between the two index records, then it means that it is available between the two pointers. Now what I am trying to tell is, you are looking for the instructor with ID 33456. Okay, 33456. But in index record you have 32343 here. So it means that the record whatever you are looking for, it will be available after the location pointed by this pointer. Okay, is it clear? Suppose if you are looking for the instructor record 12121, so you don't have index record here, but you just start searching the index records one by one. So here you have 10101, but you are looking for 12121. Next record you are looking, next index record you have is 32343, but the faculty ID you are looking for is lesser than this. So it means that the record whatever you are looking for, it should be available after the location pointed by the first record. Okay, so here only you should have the record. So this is how you can search for the records in case of your sparse index. So far we discussed about the two types of ordered index. One is dense index and other one is sparse index. Now before getting into further topic, I just want to highlight the importance of the indexing. See, your indexing will be giving better performance only if the index file size is lesser. I can relate with the real-time example. Say for example, let us consider the same scenario what I said. You are having the database system concept textbook with you, in which you have 5000 pages. Now if your index page itself contains 1000 or 2000 pages, will it be effective? No, it won't be effective. The same concept is with your indexing in your database system. The index will be improving the performance only if the index file size is lesser. In specific, the index file size should be in such a way that it can be accommodated in the main memory. Okay, if your index file grows which cannot be accommodated in main memory, then what we have to do? We have to split the index file into blocks, and you have to take the block to your main memory. You have to take one block to your main memory at a time. Then after searching it, then you have to take the second block to the main memory. You have to search, then third block into main memory. Then you have to, like that, you have to split the index file into parts, and you have to take it to your main memory one by one for performing the searching. Now obviously it is going to take some time. That's the reason, if you want to feel the real performance of indexing, you have to ensure that the index file size is lesser. Now suppose when you keep on inserting the records in your file, definitely the index file size will be also increasing. See, if you have 1000 or 2000 records, okay, you can ensure that the index file size is lesser. But when you keep on inserting the records in your file, obviously what happens at a particular stage, the index file size will be also increasing. Now how to address this? You can address this by creating another index file for your index file. What I am trying to tell is, I have my instructor table, and for this instructor table I have an index file with me. Now I have inserted more number of instructor details in my table. So obviously what happens, the size of your index file will be also increasing. At a particular stage its size will be maximum. So at that time what I can do is, for this index file itself I can create another index file. So this concept is what called as multi-level indexing. Okay, you can just create index file for already created index file. Okay, fine. Now let us if I just generically tell this, it may be quite confusing. That's why we have given name for this tables. So for already created index file, let us name it as inner index. Once if the inner index size gets maximized, its size gets increased, then what you can do is you can just create another index file for that inner index file. We can call it as outer index. Okay, so like this you can just create index file for the already created index file. So obviously our ultimate aim is we have to ensure that the index file can be accommodated in the main memory. Only then you can get better performance of indexing, right? Fine. So this is what indexing is. Now next we are just going to discuss another type of indexing, that is B plus tree indexing. Now before getting into B plus tree indexing, let us have a recap of B plus tree data structure. Probably everyone might have learned about this data structure when you have learned data structure. To have a recap about B plus tree data structure, so B plus tree is nothing but it is referred as multi-way search tree. The name why it is referred as multi-way is a non-leaf node may have more than 2 childs. Okay, so either you can travel to the first child or second child or third child based on the value what the non-leaf node has. Based on that, either you can go to first child or second child or third child or fourth child. So since you have multiple paths, it is referred as multi-way search tree. Now every B plus tree will be having an order associated with it. If you consider a B plus tree of order n, then it has a constraint. The constraint is, if the B plus tree order is n, then you have a constraint for all the leaf nodes and also you have a constraint for all the non-leaf nodes. The constraint for the leaf node is, if the B plus tree order is n, then every leaf node should have minimum 2 keys in it or n keys in it. Okay, so the constraint for leaf node is minimum it should have 2 keys, maximum the leaf node can have n keys. The constraint for non-leaf node is, the non-leaf node should have minimum 2 childs or maximum n childs. Okay, now let us be specific. Let us consider that we are considering B plus tree of order 3. If the order is 3, then all the leaf nodes should have minimum 2 keys in it or 3 keys in it. All the non-leaf nodes should have minimum 2 childs, maximum 3 childs. Okay, so this is a constraint for our B plus tree. And one more point regarding this B plus tree is, if a non-leaf node has n childs with it, then it should have n minus 1 keys in it. If a B plus tree order is 3 and the particular non-leaf node has three childs, then it should have 2 keys in it. So in general, if a non-leaf node has n childs, it should have n minus 1 keys in it. Okay, so this is what about your B plus tree data structure. The last point regarding this B plus tree data structure is the actual key value will be available only in the leaf nodes. The key value whatever you have in your non-leaf nodes are only for references. The actual key value will be available only in the leaf node. Now the same B plus tree data structure, we are going to use it as an index for our table. Assume that we have the same instructor table. Now we are going to create a B plus tree which is going to act as an index for our table, and this B plus tree index is being created based on author name. Just assume that based on instructor name. Okay, now if you take your leaf node in your B plus tree, as I said, the actual key values will be available only in the leaf nodes. Now each leaf node, in addition to having the key value, it will be also having the reference to the location where you have the actual record in your file. What I am trying to tell is, if you take crick, the instructor crick, okay, so the crick instructor, the key value crick will be also having the reference where you have the crick record. So every index, every key value in the leaf node will be having the reference to the actual records, right? Now let us really understand the purpose of this B plus tree indexing, how it works. Say for example, I am just looking for Mozart instructor record. Okay, Mozart instructor record. Now what I have to do is, I have to start searching from the root node of the tree. Now in the root node, I have one key, okay, that to Mozart. I am also looking for Mozart record. Here also I have the key value Mozart. So it means that the value I am looking for, it should be available only in the second child. So I am just coming to the second child. Suppose if you are looking for the record whose first letter is less than M, then you have to go for the first child. Okay, just to have a recap, all the values in your B plus tree, the key values in the B plus tree will be in ascending order. Okay, so here it will be, since we are having only the instructor name, it is been shorted in alphabetic order. So Mozart I am looking for, so I am just going for the second child. Now here in the second child you have Srinivasan, you have the key value Srinivasan, you have only one key and that to Srinivasan. So we are looking for Mozart, so M will be coming before S, right? So you have to go to the first child. So I am just coming to the first child. Now this is a leaf node. Okay, so in this leaf node you are just having Mozart. Okay, so once if you find the key value in the leaf node, then you will be having a reference along with it. So if you go to that reference, you can find the record whatever you are looking for, right? So this is how your B plus tree index will be working. Clear? So the tree we are using as an index for our table. That's it. Now there is a small variation in B plus tree, that is B tree indexing. The B tree indexing is very similar to of your B plus tree with only one difference. The difference is the actual records will be pointed even by a non-leaf node. If you take your B plus tree, the actual records are pointed only by the leaf nodes. But in B tree, the actual records will be also pointed by non-leaf nodes. It is only for improving the performance. See here, if you want to really understand with an example, just see here, you are looking for Mozart record. The Mozart is already available in the leaf node. The key value is available only in the already available in the leaf node. So even though it is already available in leaf node, in B plus tree what you are doing? You can find the location only after going to the leaf node. You can find the location. But whereas in B tree, here itself it will be pointing to the location where you have the Mozart record. Okay, is it clear? If you take Singh record, the Singh record will be pointed here itself. You need not go to leaf node to find the Singh record. Okay, so that's a small refinement with your B plus tree, just for improving the performance, right? So that's about indexing. Next we are going to discuss about hashing, the hash indexing. So what is the concept of hashing? Let us consider with an example. Let us consider that we have a table called instructor table. Now for this instructor table, let us create that. We have created a hash index by using the field called ID. Now all the instructor records will be equally or sequentially organized in buckets. Buckets are nothing but sequence of memory locations. So it will be organized in buckets. Now if you are looking for a particular instructor, what we have to do is we have to apply the hash function to the instructor ID of the particular instructor for which you are looking for. So for that instructor ID, we will be applying the hash function. Once if you apply the hash function, it will be giving the bucket number or bucket address. So directly we can go to that bucket and you can find the record whatever you are looking for. So this is the concept of hash index. Okay, fine. Now this is what I said. Say for example, the instructor records are being organized in these 4 buckets. Few instructors are in bucket 0, bucket 1, bucket 2 and bucket 3, so on. If you are looking for some instructor, apply the hash function to the ID, instructor ID. Probably it may be returning bucket 2. So once if it returns bucket 2, then you can go to bucket and you can try to find the record whatever you are looking for in this bucket. So this is the concept of hashing. Now this type of hashing can be called as static hashing. The reason why we are calling it as static is the buckets are fixed. 4 bucket means 4 buckets. Whether you are utilizing all the 4 buckets or not, these 4 buckets will be fixed. The number of buckets are fixed in hashing. Say for example, you feel that you will be having more number of instructors. So in that case, you may be reserving 100 buckets or you may be reserving 10 buckets. Now whether you are using the 20 buckets or not or 10 buckets or not, those buckets will be allocated for it. So that's why it is referred as static. The buckets are fixed. Now let us consider the situation. What happens if a particular bucket fills? Say for example, every bucket has a capacity. Okay, every bucket can have only 25 or 30 records. Now once if 25 or 30 records has been stored in a particular bucket, then what happens? It is not possible for you to store any more records in the bucket because the bucket has been filled. So how to address this situation? What we can do is we can just go with overflow bucket. We can just add additional buckets called overflow bucket. If a bucket 1, in this example you can see that bucket 1 has filled, that's why I am adding an overflow bucket. Even if overflow bucket get filled, I am adding another overflow bucket. Okay, so that's it. Okay, so this is what referred as static hashing. Okay, so you can just relate with this concept with separate chaining in our hashing data structure, adding overflow buckets. Okay, so as a solution to this, we're just going for dynamic hashing. Okay, so before going for dynamic hashing, so this is how your static hashing looks like. Okay, so based on ID, you will be creating buckets. Okay, so whenever you are looking for some instructor, apply hash function to the instructor ID. Once if you apply hash function to the instructor ID, it will be giving some bucket. You can go to that bucket and in that bucket if you see, you can find the location where you have the particular record. Okay, so this is what hashing is, static hashing is. You can also see here we have added an overflow bucket, right? So next comes dynamic hashing. In dynamic hashing, the number of buckets are not fixed. Based on the demand, based on the requirement, the number of buckets can be reduced and also it can be increased. Okay, so this data structure is what referred as extendable hashing, increasing or decreasing the number of buckets based on the demand, right? So this data structure is what extendable hashing. Now let us detailedly discuss about this extendable hashing. So here the number of buckets are decided by a parameter called hash prefix. Hash prefix. This hash prefix, initially it will be 0, then when you keep on increasing the records, it will be increasing. Okay, the hash prefix will be 1, 2, 3, so on. So based on the demand, the hash prefix will be increasing, and based on the demand is less, then the hash prefix will be decreasing. Now what this hash prefix decides? This hash prefix decides how many buckets we are going to have. As I said, initial hash prefix will be 0. If initial hash prefix is 0, let us consider the hash prefix as I. So if I is 0, then you will be having 2 power 0 buckets with you. If your hash prefix is I, then you will be having 2 power I buckets with you. Okay, so 2 power 0 means 1. You will be having 1 bucket initially. Once if the bucket fills or overflows, then you will be increasing the hash prefix to 1. Once if the hash prefix is 1, 2 power 1 buckets you will be having. 2 power 1 is 2. Now you will be having 2 buckets, and you can keep on increasing the records. You can keep on storing the records. Once if any one bucket gets full, then again what you can do, you can increase the hash prefix. Presently the hash prefix is 1. Now you can increase to 2. So once if you increase it to, what happens? Now you will be having 2 power 2 buckets. 2 power 2 means 4 buckets. Like that, once if any bucket gets overflowed, then you will be increasing the hash prefix. Once if you increase the hash prefix, accordingly you will be increasing the number of buckets. Accordingly you will be updating the buckets. Is it clear, students? Now the last point is, okay, let us consider the value of I is 3. The hash prefix is 3. So 3 means how many buckets you will be having? You will be having 6 buckets. Now I am looking for some record. Now in which bucket the record I am looking for will be available? So that is being decided by the hash prefix. That is also decided by the hash prefix. Not only the number of buckets, the appropriate bucket in which our data will be, our record will be, that is also decided by the hash prefix. So what we have to do is, we have to apply the hash function to the key field, and as a result you will be getting some hash address, right? Now in that hash address or in that hash value or hash result, how many bits we are going to use for deciding for identifying the bucket, that is specified by the hash prefix. I will make it with an example. Now the value of I is 3. If the value of I is 3, you will be having 6 buckets. 2 power 3 is 6, right? So you will be having 6 buckets. Now out of 6 bucket, in which bucket the data I am looking for will be available? So what I have to do is, in my data, I have to apply the hash function for the key value. For example, let us consider that ID is a key value. So for ID, for the ID, I will be applying the hash function. As a result, I will be getting a result, right? So in that result, how many bits I am going to use to identify the bucket is 3 bits. The first 3 bits I will be using to identify the appropriate buckets. Say for example, in the first 3 bits, if I have 101, then what I will be doing is I will be looking for the bucket that is been meant for 101. Out of 6 buckets, okay, sorry students, if the value of I is 3, then how many buckets you will be having? 2 power 3, right? Then you will be having 8 buckets. 2 power 3 is 8, right? So you will be having 8 buckets. So the first bucket will be 001, second bucket will be 00, sorry, first bucket will be 000, then second bucket will be 001, then 010, 100. Like that, every bucket will be having an identification. Now you have to look for the bucket which has the appropriate bits in the first 3 positions. Okay, fine. Now if you are not clear with what I said, just go through this example. Now what I am going to do is, we are just going to create the extendable hashing for the instructor table, and we are going to create the extendable hashing using department name as a key value. Now if you are looking, suppose if you are going to insert the record, what we have to do is, for the department, for the subject name, okay, they have given us department name, but we initially discussed as subject name. So for the subject name of the particular record, you have to apply the hash function. So once if you apply the hash function, you will be getting appropriate results. Say for example, if you are applying computer science to the hash function, they will be getting is 1111001, so on. Okay, so this is the result given by the hash function for the particular key value. Now initially, how many buckets you will be having? You will be having only 1 bucket. Why you are having only 1 bucket? Because the initial hash prefix will be 0. If it is 2 power 0, then you will be having only 1 bucket. Okay. Now if you are inserting 2 records, then you can insert the 2 records directly in this bucket, because you have only 1 bucket. Or even if you go in a sequential manner, or even if you go in the procedural manner, you have to use 0 bits for identifying the bucket. You will be applying the hash function, then in the hash result you will be using 0 bits. 0 bits means you are not using any bit to identify the bucket. It means that you have only 1 bucket. That's the reason you are not using any bits to identify the bucket. So you will be storing the record in this bucket. Now let us assume that the bucket size is 2. You can have only 2 records. So once after inserting 2 records, when you try to insert the 3rd record, what happens? The bucket will be filled. So what you will be doing now? You will be increasing the hash prefix. Earlier it was 0, now you will be making it as 1. If hash prefix is 1, then you will be having 2 power 1 buckets. So 2 power 1 is 2. So you will be having 2 buckets. Okay, so 2 buckets. So one bucket will be identified as 0, another bucket will be identified as 1. Now whichever record whose hash function result has a first bit value as 0, that will be placed in first bucket, and whose hash function result first bit value is 1, that will be placed in second bucket. Now again, if some bucket gets filled, then again what you will be doing? You will be increasing the hash prefix. Presently it was 1, now we will be make it as 2. So 2 power 2, 4. Okay, so you once if you have 4, what does it mean? 2 power 2 is 4, right? So you will be having 4 buckets. So first bucket will be identified by 0, 0. Second bucket will be identified as 0, 1. third bucket 1 0 and fourth bucket 1 1. Okay, once after making these arrangements, whichever records for which the hash results starts with 0 1, that will be placed in second bucket, 0 0 will be placed in first bucket, 1 0 will be placed in third bucket, 1 1 will be placed in fourth bucket. So this is how it works. Okay, now you can just see here the hash prefix is 2, so I will be having 4 buckets. Okay, so one bucket is not being displayed because in that bucket we don't store any record. Okay, so this bucket, if you apply this key value to the hash function, what's the result you will be getting? 0 0. Okay, the first 2 bits are 0 0. So for any record for which the hash function returns the value 0 0, so that will be placed in this bucket. Then for any record for which the hash function gives a value 1 0, that records will be placed in this bucket, and this is for the hash result 1 1. So for any record, if the hash function returns the result as 1 1, result which starts with 1 1, that will be placed in this bucket. So that's the concept of dynamic hashing. See, the main point is the buckets are increasing and it can be reduced based on the demand. Is it okay, students? Hope the point whatever we discussed in our video session will be helpful for you. Wish you all the best, students. Thank you.